United States has taken an unprecedented step in the global AI race, ordering Anthropic to block access to its most advanced artificial intelligence models for all foreign nationals, including Indians. The move affects Claude, Fable 5 and Mythos 5, two of Anthropic's newest frontier AI systems, and marks the first time US has restricted access not just to AI hardware, but to the entire AI software itself, to the entire AI model, as it were. And to talk more about this, I'm being joined by Mohandas Pai himself. Thank you very much, sir. Good evening. Well, a very simple thing that I really want to ask you, what do you make out of this? You know, I mean, Indians now suddenly being banned from using Anthropic. What does this mean? Considering it's the United States who is banning this entire AI model, ecosystem, whatsoever you want to call it, possibly the first, how should we really look at this?
Well, I think it is not surprising, maybe expected, because remember, the US has been using sanctions as a competitive advantage and to browbeat countries to listen to them. It's been a trait of the Trump administration and administration in the past too. They tried to go against Russia by stopping Russia from using SWIFT, banning Russian oil and all that. They sanctioned Russia for the last 20, 30 years. They use sanctions because they have the power to do so. They try to control the global economy and prevent other countries from getting advantage by their technology. And they believe they have to protect their innovators and make the whole world their market. So the US has done. See, the key thing is for the rest of the world to understand the US is not a benevolent power. All of us grew up that US is a benevolent power. They will be the market. They will help everybody. They allow the brightest and best to come and work in the US, and they are great. They are the, there's American exceptionalism, the greatest country in the planet since humanity began. We're all fed the story. Now, Trump has disabused everybody of that American exceptionalism and shown America to be a large superpower which will do anything to keep its superpower status, right? With $39 trillion of debt and debt increasing at $2 trillion a year. So they have an economic issue. They have a problem. They're, creating a politics of hatred against outsiders. Well, it is their national interest. They may do it. But you see, it has sent a very clear message to countries like India and other democracies. You have to look after yourself. You have to take care of your national interest. You have to invest. You can't depend on anybody else. And especially in the case of AI, where the US is investing $2 trillion, they don't want it to be commoditized. They don't want others to use the technology and compete against them. And they want to earn money on those returns. And now even China is doing the same thing for rare earths. They're not sending the finished product outside. They're holding back many of their technologies. They're very careful about shipping. They did not allow the tunnel boring machine to be exported to India for that high-speed rail between Mumbai and Ahmedabad, right? So they're also doing it in a very different way. Right. They prevented Apple from coming to India and sending their equipment, etc. So countries are doing it, and the normal thing to expect. So we must not live in cuckoo land and believe that the world will be good to us. We are a great democracy. We are this. We must look after ourselves. And that's why I wrote that message to our Prime Minister to say, we need a national AI mission under Nandan Nilekani to come out with an urgent plan. Which are the areas to invest? What should we do? And have a big investment plan. In fact, Ashwini Vaishnaw in Davos made a statement which is very good. He said, AI is an ecosystem play with 5 layers. We got to invest in each of those layers. Find out where we are strong, where we are weak, invest in them and go our own way and prepare for the future. And we must create a very resilient economy. We are overexposed to oil. We are no rare earths. We don't have enough copper. We're not even invested enough in coal. We're not invested enough in coke, right? We have a large number of vulnerabilities. We have coasted along, and China has taken care of its vulnerabilities the last 5 years. They stockpiled oil, stockpiled copper, stockpiled aluminum, stockpiled iron ore. They stockpiled everything, invested deeply in AI for the last 10 years. They invested in solar. They invested in electric cars. They come to peak oil. And we have not done that, and we should do it immediately. So by 2030 at least, we are in a much better, more resilient economic condition.
So, Mr. Mohandas Pai, from oil to now tech, nothing of this is really in isolation. What does this really mean for Indians in US and back home in India or anywhere else for that matter.
As far as technology is concerned, please understand AI is an ecosystem. Ashwini Vaishnaw spoke about it beautifully in Davos. You need power for AI. Now the power, we got about 500 gigawatts of power. We're adding 55, 60 solar. Our problem is transmission. We don't have enough transmission. Solar power, see, isolate transmission. We'll solve the problem with power. We'll grow power. But we are at a big risk because we peaked at 270 gigawatts last month, at beginning of last month, and thus peaked. And at that time, our transmission system was shaky. There were blackouts in some parts of India. If we go to 290 because of any peak, we'll have blackouts. So invest in transmission urgently in the next 1 year. But that problem will be solved. Second layer will be a chip layer. You know, AI uses GPUs, parallel processing made by NVIDIA. NVIDIA is not going to sell chips to you. NVIDIA is going to sell chips to Americans, to others. They're not going to sell to you. So you'll get some small quota. So what do? Now, we don't have the ability to make the chips. We just got plans which can do 28 nanometer or 22 nanometer chips, which are 70% of the market, which is good. We must slowly improve 10, 15 nanometers. It's going to take time, but we started. We need to double the PLI. But we are the largest ecosystem in the world for chip designers, testers, and embedded software people. We must, fund people who can design 2 nanometer, 5 nanometer chips. And do that because the 2 nanometer chip for AMD and others are being designed in Bangalore. We got 350,000 people. We must fund chip designers. But then once you fund the chip designers, where are the chips going to be used? You must create a market for them. You must buy it for defense. We must buy it for, very high-tech electronics. You must create a market for them and support them and create that ecosystem. And the layer above that is LLM. There are 5 or 6 LLMs which spend billions and billions of dollars. America is spending $1 trillion for hypercloud, right? And we don't have enough hypercloud. Let me talk about hypercloud first. In the hypercloud, in the third layer, we got about 2 gigawatts going up to 7 to 10 gigawatts by 2030. But many of them are owned by Google, by Microsoft, and AWS. And they'll all use our data to go outside. They'll store it, right? You can't trust them. So we must fund our own people, have a EGLS-like scheme of 2 lakh crores to fund Indian startups like Yolta, like Control Yes, like CIFI, to scale up so the data remains here. Use it for sovereign cloud, for defense, for government and Indian R&D. Use it for sovereign cloud, encourage them, give them a long-term loan, 15-year loan to build all that. So Indians can build, give them equity to NIIF and do that layer. So we have Google, we have Indians to do that and do that on a war footing. And then LLMs, 5, 6 LLMs, they're all getting commoditized. Because once you put $2 trillion for hypercloud and LLMs, you need to earn $500, $600 billion. The total revenue of these hyperclouders are, all these LLMs are $60, $70 billion. Will they get $500 billion? Difficult. That they could be a blowout, but we can't afford to spend that kind of money. Encourage startups to use open source like Llama and others to build our own frontier technology LLMs, vertical LLMs for users like Servam, etc., for vibe coding, etc. We got smaller companies, give them capital and create a market for them by making sure that there are users on the other side because they need the markets, incentivize the public sector, private sector to start using them so that we will have something. Nandan Nilekani is right, but he's getting abused every day by people who just don't understand what they're talking about because there's so many jokers in this country who make loose comments. You can't put billions of dollars into LLM when they're going to commoditize. They're going to get commoditized. The price is going to come down so cheaply. Use them, but use this Llama and open source. Have an open source movement like DeepSeek did. DeepSeek is supposed to have used Llama and done it at 8 digits after the decimal point, whereas ChatGPT 32 digits. We can do that. We have enough company, but they need capital. And the top layer, you need to have thousands of AI applications, AI app startups, application startups. They are the ones that are going to use AI for business to use. You need AI. You need hundreds of AI apps in financial services, healthcare, retail. In my office, I've seen 1,000 AI startups coming to us for capital in the last 9 months. We're given funding to 10. We got 25 AI startups in our portfolio. We're going to do much, much more. But we are limited. We're limited in capital. Start a 50,000 crore annual fund. Put the money up and invest in all these startups. Start a fund of fund. Don't go to RDI and the government committee run a fund because that's going to be difficult. Look at RDI. 1 lakh crore promised 2 years ago, not invested for 2 years. Last year, 20,000 crore given the budget. Most of the money went back. This year, we already finished in 1 quarter. How much have they invested? Let them release data and say how much they invested. Budget is 20,000 crores. The 20,000 crores has to be spent. We don't spend the money, what they use. talking allocation. If you don't spend the money, please do that. And by doing that, you'll be able to do that. Get SBI to run the fund. You don't run the fund as the government. You let SBI run the fund. Let them get private sector. Government doesn't trust the private sector. This is the only country where the government gets money from taxpayers, doesn't trust taxpayers. It's ridiculous. Government secretaries cannot done it. They're not even doing their own job. Let them do their own job well first. There's so many problems to solve, right? For that, last point, that's why I said we need a national AI mission under Nandan Nilekani. Nandan understands this very well. As the chairman of Infosys, he knows all the big AI companies. He knows all the 3,000, 5,000 big enterprises. He knows the problem. He'll recommend in the next 30 days, get 4 or 5 people to work with him who understand all this, who do this, so that we have a plan in about 30, 90 days and put the plan into effect. So we have a large enough program. Spending 50,000 crores, the government of India is possible. They spend 52 lakh crores a year on the budget. Government of India and state government spend 10 lakh crores a year giving subsidies. Don't all of them join together to spend 50,000 crore on innovation, create high quality jobs, make our future secure, and do all that? You can do that. You need the focus. And it has to be run by the Prime Minister. Everybody will keep fighting. All the departments will keep fighting. Finance will say, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. They'll quote all kind of silly rules. And please remember that, we got a 11,000 crore AI fund, AI mission. What have they achieved? Just know this, because the criticism secretary came and said, we got 20 foundational models, 5 have been released, fine. They're so small, they don't make any difference. We got to scale up. We need bigger companies. They need bigger money. Some has now raised 350 million. That's very good. We need 10 companies to raise 500 million each in this country. If government needs 200 million, they can all do it. We need to think big. We need to move fast, and we need to think of scale.
Well, and the irony of it, at the heart of all of this development in US, when it comes to Anthropic for that matter, the various softwares, hardwares that they are using, a lot of it are Indians. Indians who are enabling all of this, getting it out there. At the heart of it are really Indians, Mr. Mohandas Pai.
Indians are heart of it because you can prosper in America. America is a $35 trillion economy. They spend $2.5 trillion on digital. We are a $4 trillion economy. Spend $60 billion on digital, including hardware. It's such a small market. You create a product company here. People don't pay you. They don't pay you. They beat you down on price. What you sell for $1,000, you can sell for $5,000 in America. The market is not here. Innovation is here. So we need money. We only spend 12, $13 billion on venture every year. America will spend maybe $500, $600 billion. In last 10 years, China spent India's $170 billion, America $2.35 trillion. Where is the scale? People want us to be like America, create Anthropic, create that. Where is the money? Where is the market? Let's understand reality, use reality to scale up. We have human capital, which is the biggest issue for the world. We don't have physical capital or financial capital. Invest in physical capital. It can happen with many players, but financial capital government has to give, government has to lead, and that will lead to many things. But it has to work fast, do things big, and in 5 years' time, 4 years' time, we can be a very different country. Because AI is speed. Every quarter, a new product comes out. It never happened before. The speed of change never happened before. The scale of change never happened before. I've seen technology for 30 years. Never seen this speed, never seen this scale in such a short period of time. Government doesn't understand this. They'll keep talking, having committees, having this, making minutes. But by the time they get out, it'll all be dead. We'll all be 2 generations behind.
Well, on that note, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohandas Pai, for joining us. Thank you for breaking this down for us.